How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out what is new with the train update to Rust, or Trainyard Unloading update, I should say. So before we get to actual Trainyard over there and show you the features, we're going to go over some of the other stuff real quick. So first thing you'll notice, there's a scrap tea in my hotbar, and that's to remind me not to forget to tell you guys that the scrap tea now yields much more scrap and lasts a lot longer. So if we'll go ahead and actually pop this one, the boost you'll actually see now lasts for 30 minutes, which is quite a bit longer. And, let's go ahead and actually, I believe they should all be about the same. But let's just check out the other scrap tea. Ooh, okay. So that one's 45 minutes for the advanced. So there you go. You've got that going on. Then it's my brain completely like spaced out right there, guys. But another thing you'll notice, signs have changed, and they basically got rid of the round edges, updated the wood texture, and made them kind of fit together. So now you can pretty much kind of puzzle piece them together. Like, as you can see, if I wanted to, I could put a whole nother line of small signs across here and here to fill in the rest of that gap and make one big picture, but with multiple different signs. So, the actual interface and everything itself is still the same. That hasn't changed anything. It's just the actual physical look and shape of the signs, which is quite nice for people who like to paint. So that is pretty much what is going on with like kind of physical items here and there. They've done some other work with actually improving cliff collisions, so hopefully cliffs should be a little more jump easy. I've noticed they seem to be, from what I did hopping around a little bit over here, but you're going to have to kind of play and see how that works yourself. Then the invalid projectiles, while on like a mini copter or just mounted on something in general, should have quite a bit of a fix to it. They found a long-standing issue that was causing that, so that's actually something that is really nice and should hopefully help quite a bit with performance. Another thing they actually did are updating the lighting system, and basically they have a very outdated system. They're now updating that to Cube Map Ambient Light is what it's called, and that should help with performance as it goes. Jared also did a ton of performance work as well, which you can check out into the dev blog, which I have posted down in the video description below. And there is also some improvements to the aim down sights. With the help of HJune, Facepunch was actually able to track down an issue where you would continue with a head bob after running with a gun when you're aiming down sights, and that has been fixed and should help with some gunplay problems. So that's actually something that is quite nice. Another thing too is Facepunch can now go ahead and delete offensive sign content that you guys report. And so if you go ahead and you hit an F7 and is it gonna pop? There you go. You go ahead and report offensive sign, and then it'll take a screenshot of the sign you're standing in front of. And when you report it, they can actually delete those straight from Slack now, so they'll be able to get rid of racist and messed up stuff much quicker. So that is a nice thing. They also said they'll have a tool available to server owners so that they can do something similar themselves, which will be a very nice thing. In addition to the monument lighting, there is also light switches added to a lot of the monuments, so we'll go ahead and actually pop over and show you that here shortly. But before we do that, we have two brand new items: the Flashbang Grenade and the Molly. And when I did my last video, they were literally just added that morning and they weren't functioning yet, so now we can actually take a look at them and see how they function. But before that, how do they work? Where do you get them? What do they cost? So what we're going to do is go ahead, I should probably learn that. We'll go ahead and pop it in, and it costs 75 to research the Molotov, and it costs 75 to do the flashbang. So same for both there. Then if you want to see, they are tier 2, and they pop onto the tree right here. So once you've unlocked the F1 grenade, you can then unlock the Molly, and then you can progress to the flashbang as well. So that's how they work there on the tree. And then, of course, we want to go ahead and see what our crafting cost is. And you'll see it's 25 gunpowder and 50 metal frags for the flashbang. But as you can see, it's not very lethal. It barely does any damage, just about 20 or so. But it has a short fuse, and it has a pretty decent effect. And then the Molotov here is going to be the other one, and it's 10 cloth and 50 low-grade fuel. So there we go. The glass just materializes, apparently. That's one thing, we don't have any glass in Rust. I mean, we have glass items, but we don't have glass as a resource, I should say. One way or another, it's actually a lot more lethal with 34, but it does damage over time and it slows you. So while you're stuck in it, it's ticking you for this damage and it's slowing you to stay in there longer. So that is a pretty decent thing. Fuse length kind of depends on it. It can be 8 to 10 seconds, which is interesting. And the blast radius, it actually does cover things. So previously also, we weren't sure if they were going to allow this to be a raiding device, and it is something that is meant to damage wood objects. All right, so if we go ahead and go over here, right click is obviously going to drop it right at your feet. That's probably not a good idea, as this is a fire grenade, right? So I would pretty much just do your left click, which is your throw. Boom, there it goes. As you can see, it's doing pretty decent damage to the floor and the hard side of the wall. These are gonna hurt wood bases. But you gotta get to tier 2 to get them, so I mean, hey, we'll see there, you know. But we'll go ahead and throw another one. And then let's go ahead and kind of demonstrate on a gate. Let that go ahead and burn on there. I mean, it looks like it's gonna take somewhere between, I would say, what, 4 or so Molotovs to break through wood. That's not too much. And wow, it did about, you know, 70, what was that, 74 damage? Yep, looks like it's going to take about 4, so there you go. I mean, hey, it is new. It could be subject to change. We'll just have to see, you know, how that goes. They always are just testing it. This is the first live iteration, but there you go with the flashbang. And flashbang, Molotov flashbang. It does look like it'll take more for a gate. I'm thinking probably a lot more around maybe 6 or 7, maybe even more. When it comes to the flashbang, we'll go ahead and throw one off in the distance just to kind of see. Kind of just like a little poof, right? But, alright, I hate this part. We're gonna go ahead and flashbang ourselves. And actually, you know what? Hold on. Alright, we're not in God mode, and I put a sleeping bag down. So let's go ahead and flashbang ourselves. Oh, man. Oh, oof. Ooh, that effect. That, yikes. Okay, so it doesn't last too long, but that is very, very disorienting. Very disorienting. Alright, and then let's go ahead and show off that fire effect with them all. So we're just gonna right click and drop it at our feet, and I mean, oof, that was fast. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of health, but you see what I mean? You get slowed down in that, and it is painful. Alright, so over at Trainyard, there's now something called the coaling tower, which is this thing over here, and you'll see the train tracks actually connect into it. So if we go ahead and glide on over here, you'll see here is the actual coaling tower itself. And yeah, you can see the train goes through it, and that's because it has a function. So here's a Cobalt Logistics, and you need a green key card to get in here. Once you have the green key card, you're going to have to flip a switch, climb up a ladder, put a fuse in, and then this thing will function. And then you can use the various buttons to do the various different things it does. So let's go ahead and actually talk about that. The first thing you'll notice is that there is a new above ground locomotive. So you'll see it right here. This thing is actually quite beautifully made. It is a very nice machine. The way to get into it is from the front sides and so forth. You can actually just walk on into here and mount now. So you just, you know, look at the panel or chair, boom, mounted. And if you want to access the fuel, it is actually this huge container down here, the big F and the flammable, so forth. So once you've done that, you can climb back up into here, and you'll notice the locomotive. There is actually the new like coupling system and so forth. So we're gonna back up into here. We got one coupled now, and And now we've got 3. All right, so we'll go ahead and stop here. Just make sure that we do have everything connected as we need to. And yep, there we go. So there's actually 3 types of carts now. There is a resource cart. So you'll see this right here. And this can either have charcoal, metal, or sulfur. And then there's a fuel cart, which has existed but didn't really do anything. Now it actually does hold low grade. It can be various amounts. And then there's also a loot crate, which looks like this. It's covered in coal, but you'll see little loot boxes popping out, and you can actually get loot from that. I actually did a detailed video showing each cart, so you can go back and check that out if you'd like to, but we're just going to demonstrate these ones here to show you how they actually work. So we're going to go ahead and jump on back into our train, and we're going to drive on into Trainyard. So this is one of those things where you actually want to go ahead and drive up the train. And there's actually a light and an audio cue if you already have the fuse going. So we kind of just want to get our train on up to the area here. And do remember there are NPCs here. So that might not always go well for you depending on the situation. So now that we're here, we can go ahead and get stuck right where we jump off. Slide that green key card. Make sure you flip your switch. This is also one of the areas where you will get loot, so make sure you pay attention to that. Once you're up here, the fuse will last for several dump offs if you don't take too long of a time. So now this is here, and you'll see there's a yellow light. We need to get a green light and a positive little buzz noise for the train, meaning that it's hooked into the system, so to say. So man, we really parked in a bad spot right there. You know what? We're just going to go around to the other side and forget completely that we can just fly. So there we go. All right, so now that we're in here, we can go forward slowly. And that is your cue right there. If you look back, you should have a green light. Boom. And as you'll see, the first cart is in place. So now that we pop on up here, we can control the buttons, and you've got several. You can move to the next train car, move back to the previous train car, or unload. This one's right and ready, so you see the little arm will go down, and it's sucking up the coal, and the coal is being pumped into here. So this is where your metal and other resources and so forth will end up at. And then this one right here is for the fuel. So as it does that. And then if you do the actual loot cart, you're going to have to jump outside and physically loot the actual containers. They're not going to be sucked up into here. So that is something where you'll expose yourself a little more to get the better loot, so to say. And with that loot, you can get 2 green crates on there, which is quite nice. So there you go, it's finished. So now we can say switch to next cart. Oh, and we went in backwards actually. So as you can see, next cart is actually previous cart for us. So we want to go and hit previous cart twice. There goes the engine away. And now we can press the button and move the next cart forward. There we go. And this is a fuel extraction now. And as you'll see, it actually pops open. Look at that. That's a really cool little effect. And then the hose goes down into it and starts sucking up some fuel for us, which is quite cool. So yeah, and also speaking about trains, the work cart, now that there's a locomotive, cannot pull as many train cars. It can only pull like 1 or 2. So it is beneficial to get a locomotive over the above ground work cart as a thing. So then we can go down here, like I said, there's our charcoal from the cart. And then we can go into here and get our low grade. So there you have it. How do you people feel about this? Do you guys like the idea? Is this something you might do? Is it something fun in Rust? And also the devs have said that the train yard, or the train tracks, will hook up to other monuments in the future. So what that could bring, would it be more stuff like this? Who knows? But definitely seems like a cool idea to some potential new things. So let's go ahead and check out the new monument lighting switches, and we'll bring you right back. Alright, so one of my favorite ones is actually the abandoned supermarket, just because the sign lights up now. So you'll actually notice they said, you know, Rust is in a world that is in disarray and, you know, dead, so to say. And so they want it to where, you know, this building is going to be dark unless someone comes in here and lights it up. And that means you can also turn lights off on people. And if they don't have a flashlight, you can ambush them. You can do all sorts of different things with it. So it is kind of a neat little thing. So let's go ahead and kill the lights here. And as you'll see, supermarket is very dark. No more lights flickering inside. But if you manage to go in here and meander through the darkness, you'll see a single glowing light. And boom. Hey, all of the lights inside a supermarket turn back on. And, you know, they still have their little flicker and so forth. It still has its dark nooks and crannies here and there. You know, see this room is still pretty dark. You can also see that the light switch has another switch at this back door as well. So there are various points that you can actually control the light switches in different monuments. And pretty much all monuments have this effect now. But there you go. There's the supermarket light lit up. But that pretty much does it, everyone. Do keep in mind that there is a new Twitch drop campaign coming up, so I will have a video popping up for that as soon as all the skins are available to be shown in-game. And thanks for watching, everyone. Stay rusty and enjoy your fresh wipe.